What should Florida State's defense expect Miami to try to do right out of the gate?
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith. Thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I want to just go over a brief show here, about 10-15 minutes, talking about two main subjects. Number one, surviving the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then what to expect from a play calling standpoint against Miami in conjunction with downs and distances, and how Miami will try to really catapult themselves into the lead early to bury Florida State. And how do you react? This is a learning experience. So can you survive it? And even if you do, how do you react as the game goes on to certain circumstances? This is about the Florida State defense, so let's get started. Number one, the first possession for the Canes, I would expect all of the following. Their best plays that they personally think can get 7 immediately. They want to get that place rocking. Hard Rock is a terrible stadium for Miami because they normally don't pack it. This is the only game they do consistently. Clemson maybe, but really it's just every other year for Florida State because Miami fan base is the least consistent of all the major college football programs at packing their home stadium. It's not even close. They are by far the worst. That ain't going to be the case on Saturday. They will be hanging out of the rafters. If Miami scores like in the first, say, 3 minutes, oh boy, you have to find a way, come hell, come high water, not to let Miami punch it on their first drive. If Florida State gets the ball first, they may have a chance for a few minutes, but that also means the Florida State offense has to do something to suck out some of the emotion. That's for another time, though. We're just going to talk D. So first, to do that, with only 4 players, you must be able to consistently apply pressure on Cam, because if you don't, this game's over right off the bat. Straight up, no ifs, no ands, no buts. If you cannot consistently get pressure with 4 without blitzing and being as conservative as all get out on the back end, it's over. I don't care what anybody says. I know Florida State's got speed. They got pretty good secondary. They do not have the same talent Miami does, and more importantly, they don't have remotely the same chemistry. For whatever reason, Cam has adapted quickly, and Ward is not just like hitting guys in stride. It's like he's walking out there and handing it to them on 20, 30, and 40-yard passes beyond the line of scrimmage. That is pretty much impossible to slow down. You need him to be a little bit off, if all possible, but you must not give him the easy stuff either. So to do that, you just got to make him move his feet, be uncomfortable, look down, lose sight of his receivers. The only way to do that is to rush 4 and get home. No shortcut, folks. 2, tackles for loss, same thing. This year, Florida State's got 46 of them. They're pretty good at it. They get in the backfield. Miami has 2 good running backs, but they're a little bit different when it comes to making guys miss because it's usually through contact. I think that anybody that remotely believes Miami's running backs aren't super athletic or stupid. Fletcher made a guy look terrible in the Louisville game on a play. He's got some shake for a big guy. He's 220, but he can make his hips move. I think that Martinez is a really good guy too in the hole. He can make a guy miss, but both of them, more importantly than anything else, they're just going to try to bury it. They will try to run you over. There will be major collisions. Do you break down, tackle through the chest of the player, and make a solid arm around on both sides tackle? All the above, all the time, every single rep. I guarantee you this is going to be a thing that after the game that I'm going to be mad about. I already see it a mile away because Florida State has been so inconsistent with tackling. It's gotten better, but they've been so inconsistent with tackling. And if you try to tackle Martinez and Fletcher, one arm, shoulder bump, etc., a 3-yard run becomes a 27-yard run just like that. You must be able to tackle soundly every single time. 3, I was talking about this in the last little bit there with just tackling, being good and being sound. But the one-on-one tackling in the open field with the receivers and tight ends, even Elijah Arroyo, Riley, their tight end, all the receivers, they can make guys miss. Definitely Xavier Restrepo. That guy's twitchy in a way it's different. He's not a true burner, but he's annoying to tackle. If you want somebody like George is different, he can just fly. If you take the wrong angle on him out of the gate, like you don't get hands on him at the line, that's different. He's going to score. You have to keep guys in front of you. I know Florida State likes to play man. I've talked about this a little bit earlier this season. But in this game, if you're going to break out any conservative bend but don't break stuff to frustrate Ward, just to kind of go back and forth, this would be the game. I don't know if that's really in Florida State's playbook. You really got to practice it a lot. And I know it's asking a lot, but playing man over and over against them is not good because then you end up with some one-on-one tackling situations down the field. In a 7-8 yard gain can turn into a 20. All these guys have hit big plays by making defensive backs miss. Now, you can obviously got to tackle well in the backfield and all that stuff too, but I talked about that. This is one-on-one tackling once the receivers or tight ends get the ball down the field. Can the Noles do it consistently? Again, first quarter especially, they need to be really good at it. I don't know if they will because I don't trust it, but we'll see. The other part of that trust is number 4. Younger players are starting to step up, and that's good news. Hussey, good safety. They've got a lot of younger players. Even Azariah is a junior. They don't have a ton of seniors in the back level that are counted on. Cheyenne Brown's kind of an exception. He's somebody I trust. He might be the most consistent defensive player for the Noles, but that's one guy out of 11. Got Cam Riley. Okay, he's a pretty good tackler. He's a grad student. How many other guys are in that where they don't really worry about the moment? Like Cam Riley's played in Iron Bowls when he was at Auburn. Not real worried about him. But I do think that some of these young guys, it's going to be interesting, especially if Florida State gets down. How do they react? Nicholson, Cryer, Hussey, or any of the freshmen or sophomores at all in the back 7, how do they react? Because if they don't react well, it's going to be hard. Florida State can get down really quick if you make mental errors, and part of that is just getting down on what happened. You have to be able to erase any good, bad, or indifferent play immediately when you go up against an offense like Miami. When we come back, we're going to talk more Noles and Seminoles right after this. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the NFL season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right, start fast means you have to at least slow them down, tackle well, be able to pressure with 4, get tackles for loss without overcommitting to the line of scrimmage. Basically win one-on-ones in blocking situations more than anything. On a screen, toss, sweep, inside zone, I don't care what Miami runs. Block destruction is kind of the main thing here, and that includes down in the secondary. Even if they catch a 5-yard hitch and you're giving it to them, that doesn't mean you allow them to get another 3 to 5 yards after that. 2nd and 1s and stuff like that for Miami means play action, trick plays, or whatever they want. When Cam Ward has carte blanche, that's not good. There's a reason he's averaging 362 yards passing. A lot of the teams they played haven't been very good at tackling, and they've taken advantage. So, red zone defense. When Miami gets down there, Florida State has got a good run defense in that scenario. They're going to have to earn it. Here's a really interesting stat. I did not know it was this good. I'm almost surprised. 63 carries, 117 yards, 1.86 yards per carry. Now, that's sacks included, but even if you're just giving up 3 yards a carry, it's still pretty good. Florida State bends, but they don't break in the red zone. The Cal game, they won. They had a couple of drives late in the game, Cal, where they couldn't punch it in. They just couldn't get over the hump. And they have one heck of a quarterback in Mendoza, ironically, from Miami. But Miami is the most lethal offense in the country, and I don't care which part of the field it's on. And I really think play action is a key. Talking about breaking down, tackling, not missing guys also leads to this. If you're doing that well and they still find a way to get into the red zone, that play action is not going to be as impactful, or at least it shouldn't be. If you're slowing down the run, you stick to your keys. You don't just suck yourself into the box at the 10-yard line. A little different at like the 1 or 2, but make it more difficult for Cam. The one thing that he is consistently disruptive with it to his own team is getting greedy and getting impatient. If you make him earn it 5 at a time instead of chunk yardage plays all the way down there, maybe it's in the end zone, you get a pick. Maybe it's in the end zone. He holds it too long and he's got a guy, but he doesn't have good ball security. That's the other thing, really. He doesn't put two hands on the ball very often, and that causes some problems. But that can get to the next thing, turnovers. Florida State has been atrocious at turnovers this year. They've created 3. 3. It makes no sense when you have an elite pass rush, all the athletes they do in the front 7, and you got 3 turnovers. All the tackles for loss they've created, they're really good at it. They're a nationally ranked team in tackles for loss, yet they can't get the ball on the ground. Maybe this is the game. I don't know, but the objective here, I don't expect Florida State to win this, but get better. If they can't get a turnover in this game, I mean, when's one going to come? Like, it's gotten to the point it's just flat out embarrassing. Somebody's got to get the ball on the ground or get a pick. That is a must. Coverage. This is something, again, that I was talking about a minute ago. I expect them to at least mix it up a little bit. They are an aggressive man team, which I like in general. But especially in the red zone, I just want to bring this up. I expect to see fire zone. I expect to see nickel blitz, anything you can imagine. What do you have to lose? You're favored to lose by a bazillion. Bring it out. If you haven't tried it, try it now. The red zone's been pretty good. It's not like it's dying or anything, but they haven't played anybody remotely like Miami on offense. You're not going to play just a generic defense in that work. I know the front's good in general, and I'm talking about rushing before and getting there. I'm talking about mixing up the back end. The front end, they just got to be consistent with the rush lanes and make Cam impatient and throw it up for grabs, which I think they can by getting a pass rush on it. In that red zone, though, if you're going to get creative, that's where you're going to have to do it. Florida State gets down there after like a 10 or 12 play drive by Miami, probably going to be tired. They don't rotate a ton of guys on defense in the front. I'd imagine to see a few more looks that are different, and that includes the secondary. They're going to have to try some things because Miami's going to run bunch. They're going to run stack. They're going to do anything they can to confuse the younger players on the back end. Finally, this is something that I'm sure everybody expects, and I just want to bring it up. Miami's going to have trick plays. That's a lock. Again, it's your rival. Of course you are. Flea flicker, double pass, something like that. I would almost guarantee you Miami has worked on some kind of play. It goes to the right, the running back or receiver, then throws it back to Cam, who ran around, just kind of jogging, then he takes off. Discipline. It sucks, but if somebody's not sitting on that backside, Cam's going to catch a touchdown or a 2-point conversion. Florida State absolutely annihilated Miami a couple of years ago in Hard Rock. They remember that. They might go for 2. They might go for 2 after they've scored 4 touchdowns just because they can. You have to be ready for everything. If you're not, that's on you, not on Miami. To that point, I also think you might see a few different things from Florida State that they haven't shown, maybe players in a double eagle front or something like that, which is a 50 front. You could see anything. They have nothing to lose again, so trick plays on both sides are expected. Please like this podcast. Please subscribe, and if you haven't already, hit that notification bell. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles football with me. And also, make sure you check out my guys Kenton Gibbs and Alex Dono on Locked On ACC. I will see you on Friday. Everybody have a good one.